Hey mamas,
welcome
and
back to
today
another
guys we have
episode.
got
I'm Jess,
Solange,
which will be
Erica.
speaking to us all about autism and her journey. How are you?
Hello, I'm all good, thank you. Thank you so much for calling me to talk about my journey. Very nice to be here.
Mama's Code.
I know we've done an episode before on autism, and the same way that motherhood is not the same for everyone, it's the same with this. And do you know what? It's always nice to hear everyone's journeys and different stories, and some people will deal with things different to others. Tell us all about you and your journey so far.
My journey has been very rocky. So I have a 5-year-old. His name is Prince. He's a lovely, the most sweetest, caring little boy. I had a normal pregnancy. Everything was fine. Had a few emotional breakdowns due to just family disagreements and a few relationships not going well at the time of my pregnancy. But at the time of birth, everything was fine. Had normal delivery and everything else. Towards when my son was about 12 months, I started noticing a few delays in terms of interaction, social interaction, sort of like communication, and a bit of language delay. Even though children are different, you don't expect children to have words at that age, 12 months. But I sort of helped to raise my siblings. They're about 25 now, 25, 17, and 16. So I helped to raise them, and I sort of had an expectation of how what little ones should be doing at what age, even though I had open mind at the time and yeah, it's all right. But I could sense that there was something different there. The eye contact, I couldn't feel him like as close, and whenever would play, he wouldn't give me enough attention and enough eye contact. At 18 months, I took him to a speech and language therapist, and I said, it's not talking. Here it is. It's not communicating as you would expect. It's not giving the eye contact his sounds. You would expect a child to be making bubbly sounds like boo, boo, da, da, mama, all of that. My little one was just saying oh, really flat sounds, and that was worrying me. So they were like, Mom, you're too early for this. Come back in another year. I was like, you know what? It's all right. I'll do my best to just continue to work on whatever. They gave me a few things to look at, like reducing the amount of language I use to speak to him so that he can understand. But still, it wasn't. They said that we can't work with him. It's too small. I was like, okay, that's fine. So I went back the year after, and then they were like, yeah, we're happy to give you some sessions. Yes, we can see that he's got speech and language delays. And I said, not only that, he also is not giving, he's not interacting well with people. He runs away from people a lot. He gets overwhelmed by new places. So if we go to someone's home or to a new place or a shopping center, somewhere that is quite noisy, it will overwhelm him a lot. So I used to so whenever we used to go to somewhere like someone's house, for example, I'd literally would ask for people to send me pictures of their settings, just so that I could prepare him in advance, or pictures of faces that people that he's gonna see in advance, just so that he gets that preparation to so that he doesn't cry, have meltdowns or shutdowns when he gets there. But then from 2.5, they started to support. They gave us a few sessions of speech and language therapy, and they also referred him to a specialist called to a pediatrician, a community pediatrician specialist to support him even further. But then in that same summer, he used to do swimming lessons, and his swimming teacher said to me, listen, Mom, this is autism. although I knew there was something not right, I didn't expect it to be autism. And the way she said to me, she was like, Mom, listen, he's not giving eye contact. He doesn't care about the lesson. He just wants to play. He wants to do his own thing. He's not interacting with anyone else. In comparison to other children, I was like,
did your heart drop?
Literally, my heart dropped. I picked him up. I came out of the water. I was like, bye. I didn't go back. I was really, really upset. And then I started researching on things and sort of like clicking some dots. And I was like, yeah, oh my God, it matches a lot of things that she, from what she said, and a lot of things that he does, it could be it. And the speech and language therapist didn't diagnose him with anything, with autism. They just said, yeah, we see a few speech delays there and social interaction difficulties and stuff.
Sorry, can I ask, did he not speak at all, or did he say a few
at
words?
That point, he started having single words at 20 months. So yeah, he started nursery at 15 months. I went back to full-time work around 15 months. But then at 18 months, I was like, even though in nursery, I expect him to be a little bit more. He was an independent boy. He did things by himself and things like that. But it's just the language and the interaction with other people.
When you say interaction, so did he not like go into other people, or how was he with kids?
He would not play with children. He will play around them, but he's not playing with them. A child comes to play with him, he literally just walk away. He will not acknowledge them at all. He not give him any attention. You sort of have to like go in his world to play with him. You'd have to go on your knees. I mean, the child doesn't really have time for this. If you want to play with me, we play together. Otherwise, I'll ignore you. And that's fine for him. He'd rather play by himself and do his own thing. But obviously with adults, you have to sort of like go on your knees and sort of mimic him and copy him to enter to his world and for him to allow you to play with him. But yeah, that sort of difficulty that he would not come to a person to play with. The nursery was quite like, they weren't that helpful either. Literally, they were a nightmare. There was such a big nursery in the area, but they had no clue what to do, what was going on. I sort of had to almost teach them, like, this is what you do. Like, when you have kids with special needs, you have to go out there. Like, you have to have a 𝐍𝐄𝐖 that could go out there and look out for support the child differently in your setting. They used to do things like, whenever they were down on ratios for staff, they would sort of like break the children's routine and join the kids up. Like, so he was in baby's room, he would join with the preschool room for the day because they had less staff. And Prince would hate that because that's sort of like breaking his routine, breaking the way he knows things, breaking, even though he was being exposed by other things, other toys, by other kids. But that was frustrating for him. They used to move him up and down, and it was really annoying.
Sorry, at that point, did the nursery know that he had autism, or no one knew at that?
No, nobody knew at that point. So at 2.5, I did mention to them because the swimming teacher told me. She just said, Mom, I'm experienced. I know this is autism. So I did tell them. But at 18 months, I told the nursery as well, listen, this is what I suspect. Please help me. Keep an eye and help me. So you do your work, I'll do my work. But they were like, what are you talking about?
Do you know what? That's really sad because, I don't know, because the, nurseries and schools, they come across so many different children that they know an average of where the child should be. I know we will always have the children that are a little bit slower, and then we'll have the ones that are, surpassing average, but they kind of all know, the same way we all know when our children should be hitting their milestones. They should have noticed or given you, maybe had a meeting with you and said, look, we think something is wrong, or maybe not diagnose him because obviously they're not specialized in that, but at least say, something is not right. They should be able to notice these patterns, and for them not to help you or point you in a better direction.
Yeah, I did. they've got that early years sort of chart of, you know, the 7 little areas where the children should be at. And it was a mix for Prince, you know, but I did expect them to sort of like sit down with me and say, Mom, we also are noticing these things, and we will support you, because they're professionals. They're supposed to be out there, you know, asking for support in the community, you know, and referring him to places like to therapists as well. But anyways, that was that. And then at about 2 years and 8 months, he got this speech and language therapist refer him to the pediatrician. As I said, he saw a pediatrician around that time, and also she said it's a bit too early to diagnose him with anything, but these are some activities you can do, you can continue to do at home, and these are some areas you can work on with him. And then they booked me for another appointment to, you know, for him to see another pediatrician later on. So we left at that point. When he turned 3, I left the nursery. I moved areas as well. When he was about 3 years and 2 months, he then got diagnosed with autism. The new nursery where he was at, they straight away started doing magical works with him. They referred us to like some groups, like parents and children's groups that, you know, for children with special needs, especially like neurological development disorders type of thing, like autism, ADHD, and all those other disorders. They also referred us to the speech and language people in the area where we moved. They referred us to a few things to do within the area where we could like not feel alone, basically, and learn a bit more about the actual condition, and, you know, just to have more awareness and things like that. So it was quite good. I really liked the place where he went afterwards. And, you know, they used to do things like 1-to-1 with him at nursery, more like intensive interaction with him so that he could learn at the same time. And yeah, they took care of us a bit better in comparison to the other one.
Did his speech improve and his way of being improve when he had that extra support?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I learned a lot from the speech and language therapists from, you know, even from before, from the other borough. They taught me quite a lot of things, how to interact with him at home, and reducing the amount of language I use, using more visuals, and doing a lot of preparation, you know, in advance before showing him something new, and, you know, help him to understand when things are over. And because also it comes with that understanding delay as well. Like sometimes you have to explain things to him, like, you know, in so many phrases for him to understand, because he's like, he just shuts down when he doesn't get it. He's just like, whatever, like he just walks off. And so you want to like just go on your knees and explain to him things, or like bring up visuals if you can. So yeah, they taught me quite a lot of stuff, and that service that continued when I came over here. And then with seeing other parents in the groups where we used to go to, seeing other parents and seeing other children, and learning other things. Yeah, it helped a lot at the time.
Mama, I love you.
What would you say? Because I know children with autism are all different and there's different stages. Is there like a strict routine that he has every single day? Because I know with autism, it's all about structure and repetition. Like a lot of, we have to do the same every day. We had someone come on to talk about their son, and she was like, yeah, like he's just very, like, he closes down, and, you know, every day it's kind of like the same thing. He gets home and he does a certain thing. Would you say Prince is like that?
Pretty much. He's better though. He's definitely better. But with the repetition, he has repetitive play. Even though his days are different sometimes, but he has the same toys that he's got loads of toys. There's loads of things to do, but he will just do the same thing. He'll play with the same stuff at a period of time. So at the moment, the big thing at the moment for him is drawing cartoon characters on his board while he's watching the tablet, and he will do that literally every day, all the time. Before, he had this obsession with Play-Doh, so he literally he's got loads of things to play with, and but he'll literally just play with Play-Doh. He'll literally be writing things and numbers and making shapes and cartoon characters as well with Play-Doh. Another obsession that he had was the letter Q. He literally would, and that started very early back. He was so obsessed with the letter Q randomly. He will hold that like a sort of like a comforter as well, go with it everywhere, literally on holidays, everywhere. It was crazy, but he's out of that now. But yeah, at the moment it's literally his chalkboard and the tablet that he will literally be drawing what he's seeing. But I do try to not make him have too much routine, so that then he can't cope with coming out of the routine. Yes, because it used to be really, really hard whenever you just change something. It's just like he wouldn't want that. He wouldn't cope. He would be like, why are we doing this?
I was going to ask you that, because we all know that it's nice to have a routine, but sometimes it just goes out the window. And, for example, I don't know, Christmas or summer, you tend to do things on a different time, or you stay out later. And so my question was going to be that how, if you're flexible with him and you try to mold him to, we have to not so military, because I understand that for them it's like routine and repetition, but that can also be exhausting for you as parents, and the society we live in doesn't really adapt to that.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I can't. I literally can't. And that, again, a lot of it is because of the support that I had. And it's just like by just showing him, listen, we're going here today, this is where we're going to church. So, preparing him in advance and letting him know that this is what we're going to do. As long as he knows that, as long as he's aware that, there's something that he's going to do after, or something to look forward to. I used to have this little board called, that they gave me, basically they wrote on it now and next, or now and then, I don't remember. So you'd put a little picture of what he's doing now, and then what he's going to do next. I used to use that a lot. Just stopped not long ago, just so that he knows, he's aware of what's going to happen next. And routine is amazing, fair enough, but seriously, it is hard to keep, and it's not easy. So one of the biggest preparation we had to do is to prepare him to school, to new school, especially with the pandemic, where he left nursery 2020 March, and then he had to start new school in September 2020. It was like, oh my God. So that preparation had, the teachers sent us like social stories for him, with pictures of the school and pictures of some people, like the teacher herself and some of his classmates, receptionists as well, in a little booklet, giving him a little story like, on the 10th of September we'll start school and he will meet this woman and his friends are XYZ, that type of preparation. And then we had his uniform as well up on the, in the living room every day near his board, where he could see it and visualize himself in that place, so that it wasn't a shock to him. And then he was actually all right. So I don't know whether it's because of so much preparation as well, but maybe it's just coming out of that quarantine routine of being
being back around kids again.
So how has he dealt with, obviously, the pandemic, because it's continued and they've been off and on, in and out of school? Has that affected him?
Yeah, it has. Once again, it's that routine thing, because he started school in September. He went in there for 3 months. Came January, they were at home till a few weeks ago. Literally a few weeks ago, he was literally cried a lot, to go back to school. But I tried my hardest to prepare him. I got him like a little calendar for us to count down the days. Everything was fine. He was like, yeah, on the 8th of March. Came the 8th of March. Oh my God. So he just literally cried a lot. But then the week after, he was okay. His things were there and the same people were there, nothing changed. So he'd rather be at home. He actually prefers to be at home rather than being out in the noise with loads of things going on. But he's adjusted.
If we were to bump into you and we were like, hey, how are you? Oh my God, thanks for coming on the podcast. And you were with Prince, would we be able to know that he had autism?
Not initially. No, not initially. If you look at him, you don't know, because it's a hidden disability. Not until you approach him and start talking to him, because he will probably look at you and ignore you with some things that you may say. Like, I know it sounds really rude, but like, he literally, if he doesn't understand, or if it's a new situation, he just shuts down. Literally, he'll be like, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know this, but it's like he literally would shut down.
Sounds like me, to be honest.
But probably initially when you see him, no, but then when you start interacting with him and him not actually giving you, that feedback and that interaction back, you probably will notice that there's some delay there, like maybe an understanding or like a communication delay. But autism, I don't know whether, because I don't know, autism doesn't really, I don't think it has a face.
We put on Instagram if anyone wanted to ask anything. One of the questions was, what is autism?
In the UK, we literally just call it ASD, the autism spectrum disorder, which means that all sorts of autistic people fall into that spectrum. It's such a big spectrum. And, I think that there's that avoiding to have that type, how can I say, the categories of different types of autism in that spectrum, because everyone is so different. To me, from what I've learned with my son, autism for me just means having some developmental delays, really, whereas a person could be able to interact and socially with somebody without any problems, giving them eye contact and being able to respond straight away, whereas autism in an autistic person, that's a more difficult scenario. Also having repetitive behavior and speech. Prince has he repeats, well, now he's a little bit better, but he tends to repeat a lot, like say he's saying a sentence, and he will repeat a word of that sentence all the time. And you're like, Prince, stop. So yeah, he would say, they call it a 𝐄𝐲. He's better, much better now. It's improving because we're always calling him out, like, no one can hear this all the time, Prince, please. So all sorts of delays, like speech, language, understanding delay, anxiety, having extreme anxiety for not knowing what's going to happen next, meltdowns, shutdowns, which is what Prince gets a lot, highly focused on a specific thing, interest, or a hobby, which is what he gets. He does move on, which is good. But he gets so, interested in that, and then he stays in that box for a while. That's what autism is for me.
I wanted to ask, because you've been through so many specialists, and there will be a mum that will listen to this, and maybe, and I think a lot of women find themselves in that kind of like mindset. Say, like, if my child wasn't talking, I'd think, oh my God, is it autism? Like, you automatically, because there's so much awareness now, or you feel like, oh, my child's not interacting properly, autism comes in your head, or, ADHD, I think it is. So you start thinking, oh my God, what is it that I can do? Do you think you could share what some of the things you were taught that perhaps made it a little bit better for Prince? Just so if a lady is going through the same, they could perhaps try it with them and see in some sort of form if it will help them. Because with you saw how long it took you to actually get to that point. It was free. Your little tricks, and I'm not going to tell you to say all of them, because we're going to be here sat for hours, because there must be so many things. But anything you felt helped you along your journey?
Yeah, 100%. So for me, one thing that I had to learn, and it was difficult for me, was to reduce the amount of words I say in a sentence. So, Prince, go and turn off the light. I don't speak to him like that. I wish I could, but I before it was worse. Now I can use more language, obviously. I would be like, light off, or literally just one word, if I can, in the sentence, as much as I can, in both languages. So me and his dad found it really, really hard to just reduce the amount of, and we would see more response from him. Not a lot, but eventually it started to be a bit more, response. So that was one. And the other one was the use of visuals to help explain how we feel and what we're trying to say. And also to help him reduce anxiety as well, or to help him understand what's happening next, and for him to know what's expected from him. I mean, this happens with not just autistic kids, but it happens with every kid. If they're playing with something and you want them to stop playing with it, they gave us a clear box. Say, for example, it's bedtime or it's bath time or whatever, you want to put that toy inside that clear box, and that box, it says finished in big capital letters in there, and you'll come up with I used to go with the lid of that box, be like, Prince, play is finished, and reduce my language, obviously being on my knees for him to see me and hear me. And so that he understands that it's actually, that clear box, the tablet is in there, I'll still see it again, the box is there, and it's finished, rather than sometimes with my siblings I'll just be like, it's finished, come on, let's go, bye, go and take a list, but with Prince you have to do so much more, be a bit more careful, a bit more preparation before he just has a big meltdown. Those are the main things that I took along until pretty much now.
When you say visuals, what do you mean by that?
Pictures with one word. So say, for example, grandma's house, that's two words, but so a picture with the word, so that he knows what it is and who or where, like school, church, for example, these places, or a person, or even on your phone, if you have a picture of the park, the playground, that you have that, and he would see, okay, so we're going to the park in Leytonstone, so he could remember it's the park, and he has some pictures, that type of visual, literally anything that you have. And then they also classify visuals as, say, for example, the calendar that I've mentioned earlier, or even the social story that I mentioned earlier that the school prepared for him. These are visuals that help them to just understand things a bit better and literally collaborate with you in different situations.
Do you know what? Children are so clever. This is going to sound really stupid what I'm going to say, but when I was teaching my son like dog and grass and all of, the little picture books that they sell, obviously there's a cartoon of a duck. And in my head, I'll say to him, duck in Spanish, and I would make the sound for duck. And then when we would go out, I would think, does he even know that that's a duck? Because that doesn't look like what's on his book. Or like dogs and cows. Like I always think, and even till now, like I take him to the farm like probably 3 times a week, and I'm like, look, horse. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I just find it so crazy that they're like cartoons, but I don't know. I mean, in my head, I still think he doesn't know what a horse is or a cow or anything. Once with Erica's eldest, I was drawing. What was I drawing? I think it was like a lion or something.
Yeah, it was that or a dinosaur.
Oh no, it was a dinosaur. And I remember drawing it, and I thought, oh my god, this is the best dinosaur I've ever drawn. But he knew that it was a dinosaur. But he even though it looked nothing like a dinosaur, because he cussed me and he was like, excuse me, what is that? That is not a dinosaur. But he understood that it was a dinosaur. So it's just crazy how they actually can...
but in his defense, it was a horrible dinosaur. Like, he came in and showed me. He was like, Mummy, look at what 𝐍𝐄𝐖 drew. What does that look like? And I was like, Jess, what is that? And she so confidently said, a dinosaur. I was like, in what world is that a dinosaur?
What is Prince's strength?
He's a really good reader. I mean, I wish I could read like him at his age. He started really, really early. I mean, kids nowadays are just really good with alphabets and numbers. And anyways, then go to YouTube. Yeah, he's really good at that. He likes drawing as well. He's really good at that. And he's a very lovely boy, and he knows emotions, and this is something I'm really grateful for, because I know some in the spectrum don't really have that or feel that, and Prince knows, and if he sees you sad, he will go to you, and he'll tell you, don't be sad. He'll leave after, but he will show some sort of sympathy.
He'll say, don't be sad, but I'm gonna go away now. So moving on from this, I just wanted to do you know what, motherhood is very hard. It's just a hard job, whether you're having the best day or the lowest day. And on a normal day, for us, it's very tiring to just be repetitive and just be like, so that they can start to learn, and just everything with kids is repetition anyways, and it's exhausting. But for you to have to do it even more than normal, and like you said, cut your words down more, and genuinely speak to him in one word so that he understands you, that's exhausting. But how, at the end of the day, when you go to bed, how do you feel? Like, how has this taken a toll on your mental health, on your emotions, on how you perceived motherhood before you had Prince?
Yeah, if I'm honest with you, today it's second nature to me. I don't know any different, even though I helped raise my siblings. But Prince is all I know as my full own responsibility, and I can only deal with that. I can't compare any different from all the activities that I do with him. This is it. This is what I know. And yes, it does affect me a lot. I mean, when I got his diagnosis, even though from 18 months, I was like, there's something wrong. And then at 3 years, when they gave me the diagnosis, I was like, I was hoping she didn't say that. It was really, really hard. And the struggles that I do go through is, I don't want to miss out on anything that he will need. I don't want to close my eyes and not ignore what he's gonna need, and then it's gonna be my fault for him not having to, I don't know, not using a particular service, or that's one big struggle for me. And so I try my hardest to do whatever it takes for him to for us to take on the opportunities that are out there, you know, that NHS gives us, or whoever is out there supporting and giving us. Really ups and downs. But yeah, I just live with it.
I wanted to ask you, and I know we all go through this, and you know, we've all been on both sides of the story. Mums tend to be judgy, and people that are not mums are the worst. How do you deal, because obviously you have a child that has a special need, and so, and like you said, it's not visual. I can't see that Prince has autism. If we were in a room and, you know, he was being different because he's different, he's unique, and then you'll get the odd person like, oh, excuse me, your son's doing this. Do you get that? Do you get judgment from mums? Because I know, like before I became a mum, I would look at the odd mum on the bus because their kid was screaming and having a meltdown. And when it happened to me, I felt like, oh my God, I want the floor to swallow me and spit me out somewhere else, because I could not deal with the embarrassment. I could feel like fire in my head, and I was like, oh, this is what all those other, because you can't control it. And, you know, and we, like, our children understand, you know. Explaining to a kid with autism is going to take much more time for you to try and calm, because sometimes they just flick and you don't know what it is that's triggered them to have this meltdown. And with like my child, that could happen, but I could just be like, excuse me, what are you doing? You have to be very careful in how you approach certain situations. Have you ever experienced that kind of judgment from, or like maybe overheard people say like, oh my God, like here she comes with her son?
No, actually, I actually haven't. And when I do, if I do, but I had that, excuse me, can your son, in a group with moms that have, the children have also have special needs. And obviously she was just trying to protect her child. She was like, can your son give my child's teddy bear back, please? You know, because she was frustrated and he was going everywhere. And then she spoke to me in a way where I was like, oh my God, Prince, what are you doing? I felt a bit like this. And obviously I you know, how can I say, like, yeah, it's fine. You know, your child was crying and it's perfectly fine. But you know, the way she spoke to me was like, whoa, you know, we're here, we're on the same team, you know. But no, in other moms or other places, I haven't had that so far. But then even if I do, I'll put myself in their shoes, because also when I didn't have Prince, I'll be like, literally, you know, it's literally, it's normal for people to have that. And people will speak, people will say, people will, you know, will have their words. And something that I also wanted to mention is he uses lanyards to show that he's got a hidden disability. It's like a green lanyard with sunflower in it. When you see a person with that lanyard, it means that they've got some form of hidden disability you don't see. So I try to use that as much as possible, so that people actually have the awareness that, you know, if you see him acting strange or doing something strange, it's because, you know, to help people as well. But
that's so good for you as well, because sometimes when they're acting up, you not that you're embarrassed, but you're kind of like, oh my God, stop. Like, you can see all the eyes on you. So it's good for you to and, you know, other parents that have kids with special needs that have that, because like you said, it avoids making you feel uncomfortable in that situation, even though you shouldn't, because I mean, this, you know, this is the life that you have. But again, people from outside don't have so much empathy and aren't as kind as you wish everyone was. So we, like I said, we put out to the Instagram, and we said if anyone had any questions or had anything that they would like to say to you. One of the questions was, what signs did you notice? But we've covered that. And another one was, you are an amazing mom to our little Prince, and I am happy to call you my friend. And that was 𝐿𝐿𝐼, which shout out to her for putting us into contact. And I think we spoke about this in our previous episode, that it's so important to have just a nice group around you and friends and everyone that's going to actually support you and be a shoulder for you to cry on or scream at when, you know, you're feeling shit, because we all need that. Another one was, it's great to see that you are given a platform for all mummies. And you know what? It's so important because everyone's motherhood journey is different and no one should feel excluded, because at the end of the day, we all have a tiny human that we're all looking after and are responsible for. So why should these things take away from being in that village that we all, you know, want and need, really? Someone else said she just wanted to say to the mom, clap. So she gave you little clap emojis.
Pregnancy looked good, and yeah, she just looked like this all the time. Now I always, I just can't wait for you to grow up.
Do you have a fear of having another kid?
I did. Yeah, I did. Especially during the times where I didn't know what it was, what I was dealing with. I was just going with the flow. Especially during the time when there were so many specialists around me telling me this, telling me that, there's too much going on. And I did, and I definitely wanted a little friend for Prince, like a sibling for Prince. And then I thought, no, it's too much going on. There's too much things that he needs right now. For example, last year, the year before, when he was at nursery, we were applying for his EHC, education healthcare plan, for school to support him now with everything that they need to support him with. That was such a lengthy process, such a annoying process. You know, the application takes so long and so much to put in it. Literally have to write your life in there. If you don't get that support, the schools won't give him as much support as he actually needs. You know, he'll be in a classroom with 30 kids, 29 kids, you know, with one teacher, one TA, and it's not enough. Not enough support for Prince. So I was like, you know what, there's too much going on. You know, when he's bigger, then yeah.
Solange, thank you so much for joining us today. We'd like to close off the episode with a golden tip. So take it away. Anything motivational, any tip for any mom, parent, go for it.
I would say, ladies, moms, you ladies are not alone. Go out there and just do your best. You are the best mom to your children, either way. You know, the early you can get support, the better it is. You know, don't ignore it. You will need support yourself, because if it's your first child or not, like, you're going to need support. You're going to need people around you to tell you things, to teach you things. So do go out there and seek help. The NHS can be, you know, a little bit slow with things and takes you up and down. It's fine, but just go out there and get your support and be strong.
Thank you so much, Solange.
Thank you for having me, girls.
We love sharing everyone's story, and your ones was very powerful because it was completely different to the other one we had as well. And I agree, the sooner you can, that's mainly why I asked for the little tips and tricks, because you yourself know that you took your son really early on and they were like, yeah, we can't help you, because it's true. Like, and I was thinking, as you were talking, I was thinking, isn't there a way? Isn't 3 too late to kind of diagnose a child? But then if you think about it, all children are very, like, some are slow at learning new things and others are very fast. So where do we draw the line in saying, well, yeah, this one's got slow speech, so let's just diagnose him with autism? Like, it's extremely hard, and I can understand in that perspective why it takes so long. Just the same, like, I was thinking, I remember once I thought my son had an allergy, and I was like, can you do an allergy test? And the doctor was like, no, only after he's 7. And I'm like, but I need to know now. Like, he was like, no, you just need to try one. Like, that's why you meant to try like one fruit and one veg at a time to kind of see. And then along the way, you can also pick up allergies. So it doesn't necessarily mean he was born with the allergy. He could just pick it up. And I was like, oh my God, like, there's just so much with children. That's why I just have dogs, guys. I'm joking.
Oh, thank you so much, Solange. It's been so lovely to speak to you. And yeah, hopefully we speak to you soon.
No, but wait, I need to mention something else.
Oh.
She makes the best, and I'm not even exaggerating, rice pudding. Oh my God. You know, I got put off rice pudding in Colombia because I got like the runs. And I when something happens to me, like, if I throw up or anything, I just stop eating it completely. And I remember for Ty's birthday, like, Catty was going around with the rice pudding, and I was like, no, thank you. And she was like, it's really nice. And I was like, yeah, no, like, I don't want it. And then Steph gave me some of hers. She was like, just try a little bit. You know how Steph, like, she just wants to force everything in your face. And I was like, fine. I had a little bit, and I was like, oh my God, give me more. And I literally ate Steph's, and Steph was like, great, I have to go get it. But ever since, I've been like, Kat, can you tell your friend to teach you so you can make me some?
I gave her the recipe.
I know. I literally just asked her, and I was like, Kat, is she the one that makes the perfect rice pudding? She was like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah, she loves the rice pudding too. I always try to make it when we have something, I miss
socializing.
Yeah, completely. It's just really hard right now. Don't want to talk about this another episode.
We're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. We're almost there.
Not really. Boris said there's going to be
shut up, Erica.
Wave, but it's true.
Shh, guys. Mama's code out. Mwah.
Mama's Code.